Next, I sit down with summit organizers for a roundtable discussion to talk about why now and why this. Now, the sound is a little bit haphazard. I am just getting up to speed on movie making, audio, oh boy. So please, thank you in advance for bearing with me. But this is so important. Give it a listen and hear what they have to say. It's truly spirit-led. I felt the presence as we were doing this interview. It was incredible. So please give it a listen. Welcome. Today, we're going to have a roundtable discussion about a recent Truth and Reconciliation Summit. What is Truth and Reconciliation Summit? Well, stick around and we'll find out. On our panel today is Dr. Ernie Kubacher. He's a former Apple product manager and developer evangelist. He's currently an integration engineer at Lotto. He also has a doctoral degree in physics from Caltech and a bachelor's degree from MIT. He has a long history with Passion Talks and is passionate about the topic as a person of color. He wants to be part of the solution for church unity. Bill Bragg is an interaction designer with experience working at Apple and a dozen startups. His current focus is on mobile shopping apps. Bill also sits on the Passion Talks board and is also very passionate about eradicating racism and embracing unity within the church. He has also launched an alternative small group network focused on real-world applications of new creation truths. And lastly, Nicole Diggins. She provided the catalyst for the Truth and Reconciliation Summit. She has over 10 years' experience with Fortune 100 companies in strategic planning, business development, product launches, financial management, and much more. She has an MBA from the University of Michigan and is the founder and principal of Zoetica, did I get that right? Yeah. Zoetica, Inc. She gave a compelling presentation at Passion Talks 2017 titled,
it's a very long title.
I
can't even remember the title. It's just the history of race in the United States from the Church of America. One woman's journey from the old paradigm to the new. Something along those lines.
All right, to say she is passionate about this topic is an understatement. I would like to start with Nicole. If you could give me an overview of the presentation that you gave in August at Passion Talks.
It just walked people through just the history of, frankly, racism that was embedded in the American church. That chicken or egg, I guess, could be the question, but because the economics of the young nation was built around the concept of slavery, the institution of slavery, then the church came alongside that to actually support that, working out where it became parts of doctrine. But at the same time, it was also used to eventually abolish slavery as people began to really look at the Word of God and understand what the institution of slavery was doing to the nation as a whole and to individuals in particular, that it became the tool of liberation as much as it was a tool of for imprisonment, if you will, for enslavement, if you will. But out of that cauldron of the early beginnings of church in America and slavery in America, we're still kind of living out some of the legacies of the thinking and the spirits behind the institution of slavery that infected or permeated the church, and we don't even realize it. And I came out the product of all that disunity that was created. And my talk, I started with actually the Church of England that split away, or the creation of the Church of England as it split away from the Roman Catholic Church back in the 1600s, and how that very divisive and violent process of the establishment of the Church of England got exported to the United States, and those bonds of division just in the creation of the Anglican Church and all the subsets of church life in England gave ground or support for a continuation of division along racial lines, and even nationalistic lines as well. As the United States became more aligned with the English rule of law and the English way of life and doing business. If you weren't English and weren't from the English denominations, you too also experienced some level of or less access to opportunity in America as well.
We're going to start off with Bill. Can you tell me why are you passionate about this? How does this affect you, and why are you a part of this group?
This topic spoke to me when I heard Nicole first present, and I obviously live in the States. I've been exposed to racism in general, but when Nicole presented, there's something unique here inside the church. It just really touched home. And I think initially it was like, oh yeah, there's all sorts of racial divisions, but I think this is a unique thing to the U.S. And I became passionate that this is a big issue, that if the church can work on this and makes progress on this, that would be such a tremendous demonstration of the Holy Spirit's power that other problems in society can also fall on. It's significant. It's in the headlines. It's something that's been around for many years. It has roots back in Europe. It's a very large issue that I think deserve the time to think through it and challenge people. I'm also hopeful that good things can happen, right? So I like to be involved in things that will yield fruit. I just felt there was a great opportunity, maybe here in the Bay Area, a crying need for the world to see the church here work this issue.
And Ernie, Dr. Ernie, could you please tell me what has been your experience with regard to racism in America? Weren't you born in America?
Yeah, I was born in America. So as I mentioned at the event, we're kind of on both sides of the issue. In some ways, we get lumped in with the majority culture, especially, my parents came in during the wave of doctors and professionals from India in the 60s, and so there's a certain stereotype people have of the Indian doctor. On the other hand, people who don't know that I'm Indian, I get lumped in with people of color, and I've been called the N-word on occasion. Usually it's more amusing and bizarre because I grew up in a fairly multicultural environment, so it didn't affect me deeply and personally in that way. And the other thing that's kind of funny is that Indians also have a lot of racism toward their own race, especially when I was growing up. There's a lot of Indians who there's all sorts of divisions in India, but even I knew lots of Indians said, I will never hire another Indian. Because a lot of them come out of the old country, and especially with the culture was like back then, a lot of corruption and things like that. So there's Indians have a very complicated relationship with race and with themselves, which has been a journey of identity and trying to find my place in the world over the years.
Thank you. We had a summit. I noticed that the largest group was the small groups, which for me was very encouraging. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you're doing to make it happen?
We're trying to figure that out. The first meeting post-summit will be at the end of this month, the 28th. And really, we just want to set the stage of what we expect or what we want from a small group gatherings, because time is a premium and is valid. It's people's most precious asset, really, and it's valid. So we want to make sure that the time is used wisely. Some things that I feel like the Lord has put on my heart that help us talk about this subject maybe in more fruitful language, and that's looking at it from the perspective of systemic poverty. So just start talking to them about that. It's just some of the stuff I've been digging around and True Transform Our World, that organization, has done a great deal of work of defining and looking at the underlying elements of systemic poverty, and just really pointing the church towards the direction of when you end or you put your resources towards ending systemic poverty, it's the first indication that the kingdom is come. When systemic poverty is eradicated. And racism and even sexism are some of the tenets or tools right now that current world systems are using to bolster systemic poverty. So I think I'm going to talk around that a little bit just to kind of give everybody a common ground, because from there,
a lot of different, not just racism, but a lot of different other divisions that exist in the church actually fall underneath that umbrella. And,
there were a number of other ideas that were perpetuated, and would you like to discuss some of those?
Well, I mean, just to be very self-referential, you and I were talking about electronic media as a tool for unity, which at least was part of the motivation for doing this event. And one of the things that we're working on in various forms is this idea called passion groups. And the idea, there's a couple of different ideas behind it. The original idea was really about the idea of how do we activate the body of Christ? Because a lot of us, especially in the evangelical tradition, church is a place you go to hear a lecture. It's secondarily, or nowadays maybe more hear some worship. But then not necessarily to be transformed or to build great relationships. And so we were brainstorming the last few years about that. And one of the key things that we discovered was that when you're in a church, there's certain venues where people who are active in the church can plug in. If you like working with kids, you can do Sunday school, right? If you like working with technology, with the soundboard, you can work on the worship team, or music, whatever. But if your interests are outside of that, it's hard to find those venues. And we discovered that one of the best ways to get people activated, kind of like this itself, is that you find people passionate about something, group them together and connect them so they can do something with it. And the challenge is that inside of a church, there's lots of tools for meeting and finding people. Outside of the church, it's really hard. And so we've been doing a bunch of investigations, which culminated in a fleet group that we ran, which is a chat forum. And that was actually where Nicole and I really connected around this topic, especially in the wake of Charlottesville. And so that's really been something I've been continuing to work on since then, is trying to figure out how to build fill in the gaps between churches, between Sunday morning, right? We've got really good systems for broadcasting Christian music, for publishing Christian books, for hosting events on a campus, but there's this vast sea of passion and need and fear outside of that, and we need to find ways to bring the Spirit of God and the body of Christ together in those places.
So do you think a house of prayer with a prayer room that's open most days of the week, do you think that would be helpful for people to be able to come?
So I think that this is actually a good segue to our next passion dialogue. We'll do a little promo for that here while we're at it, right? That the idea is we all have spaces that we are a part of, that we have some responsibility for. And thinking of those spaces not just as what do I want to do for my purposes, but how can I open it up for God's purposes? We were talking yesterday, I guess, about how we want to get people to the place where they open themselves up both to receive God's goodness, but also be exposed to the needs of the world. And so I think that what our friends at Fremont do with the House of Prayer, where they really try to make that place open and try to make it a place where God is fully present, and yet there's space people come in and do their own thing. The space we're in now at Crossroads is a brilliant example of that. That's kind of our paradigmatic story we'll be telling on April 21st, is about how they created this space and opened it up for us to do these things as well, people just coming in and hanging out and working on their laptops. And I think that is, that's mostly focused on physical spaces, which is really important, and it's the highest bandwidth way we communicate and relate. I've been focusing more on the digital spaces to supplement and encourage that.
Like Google Hangouts and
Well, I've been sort of working on a bunch of different things, right? So there's been the mailing list we set up. There is a Basecamp project, which was originally sponsored by TBC, which is what we used to organize this event. And
what is TBC?
So Transforming the Bay with Christ, TBC.city, I believe, is the domain name. It's an organization headed by Nancy Ortenberg, and their focus really is to try to build unity within the body of Christ in order to unify, amplify, and multiply the work of the gospel, of the Spirit in the Bay, I think it's now 11 counties of the San Francisco Bay Area.
I've created a podcast that is virtually unedited. There's at least 10 more minutes of discussion that I think you will definitely enjoy. I hope you'll be brave enough to seek out the entire discussion from end to end. Well, that concludes this episode of the Revivalist News Network. I hope you'll tune in for more episodes. Next episode, you'll get a chance to meet Brandon Napoli. He's a senior leader at Crossroads Christian Church in Palo Alto. He launched Sacred Spaces, an outreach to the local community, and he has been enjoying some amazing results. I'll also be interviewing Nancy Ortberg, CEO of Transforming the Bay with Christ. She's also a senior leader at Menlo Church, formerly known as Menlo Park Presbyterian Church. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, ideas, send me an email at therevivalistnewsnetwork@gmail.com. I'm also on Twitter at Revivalist News and on Facebook at the Revivalist News Network. Find out how you can be a part of something special. Support this venture. Visit my GoFundMe page and give as the Lord leads. Please don't give us your tithes. Your tithes belong in your home church. And if you're strapped for cash, if you're struggling, I'm not talking to you unless Jesus has said something. However, if Jesus has been talking to you, give as he leads. Thank you for joining me on this episode. I'm so excited about it, and I'm so excited about all the things that we're going to be talking about in the future. May the Lord bless and keep you until we meet again.